All right, we're going to practice some more problems that you might see in this extension class. So this first one, we want to make sure we have simplified and follow order of operations. So we don't have any groups, we don't have any exponents. We have a multiplication problem here, 3/4 of x, but we don't know what x is, so we can't multiply, and we don't have any dividing here. And subtracting or adding, we do have an add sign here, but we can't put x's and constants together. So this is as simplified as it can get. So now we need to undo this and work backwards to solve for x. So we're going to set up our balance here. And the first thing, we're going to subtract or add. So we have add here. So we undo the opposite minus 20. And if I do it to this side, I have to do it to this side. So this cancels out. This is gone. All I'm left is 3/4 x equals 32. So now we're coming here and we need to undo this next step, the last one we have. So we have this coefficient 3/4 of x. Now, we know this means times, so the opposite is divide. So we need to divide by 3/4, which makes us over here need to divide by 3/4. So this is 32 over 1. I cannot nicely and use friendly numbers divide this. So it's going to be easier to use that multiplicative inverse. We want to copy dot flop to solve this problem here. So we're going to do 32 times 4 and then divide that by 3. And I know you can do that math, so I'm not going to do that. What I do want to talk about is on some of these, you're going to see it will show that instead of dividing by 3/4 here and here, the same thing as to times by the inverse. So instead of dividing by 3/4, we could just times both sides by 4/3. Because if I times this 3/4, that equals 12. And that equals 12, which equals 1. So that cancels out. 1, I have one of the x's now. So if I times by 4/3 here, times by the inverse here, I need to times by the inverse here. So you can either divide, and then use the multiplicative inverse, or you can just skip straight to that. Timesing by the opposite is the same thing as dividing. So it's just something you might see as you are working. Hey, and another one, we're going to draw out our graph and write the inequality. So the basketball team practices before 7 o'clock or 3:30 or later. So, right, they're at school between 7 to 3. So when can they practice? So we're going to get this number line, and so I'm going to put, let's do 7 here. So 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, right? And then we'll start over at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So somebody just looking at this number line might not think it's right, but in reference to the problem, it does make sense. So we're going to go from 6 to 4 on our number line. So I'm going to just start thinking about this one here. So x compared to 7 o'clock. They have to do it before 7 o'clock. They could practice at 5 o'clock. They could practice at 6 o'clock. So these are earlier or less than 7. Can they practice at 7? Nope. It can't be equal. It has to be before 7 o'clock. So I'm going to open circle here. Actually, I'll use a blue one so you can see it a little better against the black. And then it's before 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. My solution set goes earlier. So now let's look at this one here, 3 o'clock or later. So we have x compared to 3. So they could practice at 4, they could practice at 5, they could practice at 6. Can they practice at 3 o'clock? Yes, 3 o'clock or later. So these x's, sorry, I should have written the solution set next to the variable. So that goes over there. That'll make more sense. So here's our solution set. All of these are greater or equal. So I'm going to find 3. and we're grabbing that. It includes it, fill it in. And it could be 4, 5, 6. So it's going in that direction. So we have one that's open. They can't practice at 7. They can practice till 6:59, but not at 7. But this one, they can start right at 3 o'clock or later. So now we need to just match our inequality here. So this one's pretty easy. We're just going to bring it down. X has to be greater than or equal to 3. And this one, we just want to flip the whole thing. The smaller side should be pointing to the X, and the 7 is open to the big side. So just read it backwards. X is less than 7. X is greater than or equal to 3. So they can practice then, and they can practice then, nothing in between.